Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joe Pisapia, and it's week 16. Happy holidays, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the holiday festival here over at Betting Pros. We got so much football to talk about. Yesterday, we did the line show. Today, it's all about the props, the individual players. And speaking of players, who better than Andrew Erickson, the Underson, the Undertaker, and the Welsh, our newest full-time guy around the parts of the Fantasy Pros and the Betting Pros and all the fun things. Welsh, you've been on the team for years now, but now you're a big boy here at the team, and we're very excited to have you. How does it feel to be a full-timer here with me and Mr. Andrew Erickson these days?
I'm a real boy. I'm not a puppet. I'm a real boy. Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited about it. I mean, what I think is funny about all of that is people listening would just have absolutely no idea because I am on so much content here. But
people used to think I worked here before I worked here. They assumed because I was on show so much, like, you don't work for Fantasy Pros? I said, no, I don't.
I know. The only difference, I'll just be a lot happier. I'm just going to be a lot happier now for everybody. So that's going to be the difference. I'm very excited about it.
You won't be faking your smiles anymore on the show.
Yeah, you're going to see a glow behind. You'll see life in my eyes. I'm very excited about it. That all becomes official at the new year. But yeah, we get to do more great stuff. And you guys can't get rid of me now. So, I mean, I guess you could, but
I mean, we tried. We just said it's just easier to just bring him in full time. But all jokes aside, Welsh and I have been doing the baseball show here for a couple of years on our MLB channel. If you don't know that exists, go check it out because Welsh has got incredible content over there already, and we'll be back before you know it doing baseball content on that channel. He's been here at Fantasy Pros helping out, at Betting Pros here helping us out, and your versatility, your talents, all of those things. We're just excited to have you here full time. You only for us now. We put a ring on it. Andrew Erickson. We put a ring on you a long time ago. So that being said, speaking of putting rings on it, 2024 is around the corner. That means Andrew Erickson's getting hitched next year, which is a couple days away from next year. How's that feel for you, buddy?
Yeah, 2024 is going to be a whirlwind. A lot of big things, a lot of monumentous moments. It's going to be big. Can't wait.
Monumentous. That's a Welshism, I feel.
That is a Welshism.
That's
100%.
momentous and monumental together. Monumentous. Yeah. I love it. See, Welsh, you're already having a positive effect here on the team. Welshisms abound. For those of you who don't know what a Welshism is, you're going to know. You're going to know now. Welsh takes two common sayings or verbiage of things, combines them into one thing without knowing it all the time. It's my favorite thing.
I've been thinking about making a full-on book, like one of those like little mini books of Welshisms. Yes, so I think we need to have a tracker. Let's in 2024, let's have a tracker for not just me and my Welshisms, but anybody that has them, and we'll celebrate it at the end of the year.
It's a monumentous idea. You know what else is dropping comments below, subscribing to our Betting Pros channel, so you can win a 1-year free premium upgrade subscription to Betting Pros, the best betting tools on the planet. And right now, that's all you got to do to get one. Download the app, subscribe to our Betting Pros channel here. Drop your comments, like the stream, do all those nice things. You just might win that. Plus, don't forget, it's not just NFL. We've also got fast break bets here every Wednesday and Friday, live 11 a.m. Eastern with Matt Modi hosting you, taking you through the best of the NBA bets for the slate. So a lot of fun things going on over here on the betting side of things. So stay with us. Ring the bell for notifications too, so you know every time a piece of content drops here on the channel. All right, niceties aside, let's get down to business here. Welsh, why don't you go first? Give us your number one prop here for week 16. What do you have?
All right, I'm going to be bringing this back. I love me some running back receiving props. Anytime I can put a focus on that, I do. I'd be honest with you, there's probably 4 or 5 that I really like this week, but I am going back to Joe Mixon. 18.5 receiving yards is the prop, even though Chase Brown has been really good. This number has hit in 7 of 9 games for Joe Mixon and 4 of the last 5. We can also look that his reception prop, I think this is interesting here. His reception prop is juiced to 175, minus 175, which is implying 3 catches. It's at 2.5 right now. So that's great. So if we are implied guaranteed 3 catches in here, 18.5 is a low number for him. The last meetup Mixon had with the Steelers, he had 44 yards receiving, and the Steelers are on average giving up 31 receiving yards to running backs. You don't have Jamar Chase in this game as well, throwing out of the backfield. I'll be honest with you, I was looking at Chase Brown a little bit, but Joe Mixon is going to be in on such a bigger snap role here, and he has been just smashing this through and through. So under 20 yards, Joe Mixon receiving yards, 18.5. Let's go.
I love this too, because it's not just about upping all the possibilities and opportunities for Boyd and Higgins, but Mixon is another guy too. And I think people are going to forget that. And I love the smaller number too. This is easy. You can get this in 2 plays for, and I think that is the key here. So
a lot of the really great running backs this week that you want to invest in are in the mid 20s for the receiving side. That's not the case with Mixon. That's why it's so pretty.
Speaking of running backs in the mid-20s, Andrew Erickson, let's talk about your first selection for Week 16.
Let James cook. That's what we got to do here, folks. 23.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the over for James Cook. He's hit this number in 4 straight games since Joe Brady took over as the OC and basically unlocked James Cook. It's crazy how the Bills do this every year where they just commit to one running back at the end of the season and then he's good. It's really weird how that works. They just get away from this committee. But they're doing it with James Cook. 21 touches per game over his last 4. Again, he's hit the receiving yardage over in his last 4 games. And the Chargers matchup is perfect for a running back that catches passes out of the backfield. Running backs against the Chargers, second most receiving yards to running backs the Chargers are allowing on defense. 29th in DVOA versus running backs in the passing game. The matchup is perfect. The usage is perfect. I mean, it's wheels up for James Cook across all facets. So I love this prop. This is definitely my favorite prop. And I'm going to be very sad. And we'll not be able to have Christmas presents for my family if James Cook does not pull through on Christmas Eve. So let's go, James Cook.
Let's go. No Grinch moments, please. Let's make sure James Cook hits this. But look, this is a smash. I'm with you 100% in this one. All right, let's go.
I'm hitting this. And I want to say, I'm going to parlay these 2 together. My Mixon and the James Cook one.
There you go.
That is going to be a receiving yards parlay this week.
That's a fun Christmas Eve. There you go. There you go. All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's talk about the number 1 wide receiver in the Chiefs offense.
Yeah,
Welsh.
Give me Rashee Rice receiving yards, 64.5 over. This has hit in 3 of the last 4 games. Rice has at least 7 receptions in 4 straight games. Their last meetup, he went for a career high 107 yards on 8 catches. You've also got a top 10 wide receiver cornerback matchup, according to PFF this week. And really, ever since the bye, they came off the bye, there's been a complete focal change in how Rashee Rice is used in that offense. The very first game out, I believe he had 4 receptions on 5 targets. But the targets are going through the roof. The receptions are going through the roof. He literally had his best game of the season against this Raiders team. And the Chiefs, they are hyper-focused. So 64.5 yards. Obviously, this number is a moving, but give that to me, especially when he has hit this in 3 of his last 4 games, and he is a major focal point of this offense. So, this number, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the 70s next week if he does it again. So I'm all on the Rashee Rice bandwagon.
The volume's been there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now, a guy who really wasn't moving last week, but Erickson's looking for a rebound, is the subject of his next prop for Week 16. So, Andrew, this is your chance. Sell everybody on this Bears running back.
Javonte Foreman over 37.5 rushing yards, because the Cardinals this season, every running back they have faced a running back in every single game, because every team has a running back. Every running back they have faced has at least gotten 40 yards on the ground. At least one running back that they have faced. So if I have to push my chips in on one running back leading this Bears backfield, it's Javonte Foreman, because he's been the guy when the most of them have been healthy. He's been the one that they've leaned on the most. Even last week, yes, he was horrible. He had -6 rushing yards, but he still led the team in carries. He still had 6 carries. So I think he's going to lead this backfield. He's a boomer bust runner, but this is a matchup that he can boom in. And the number is just so low, 37.5 rushing yards. I think he can fly over this in the first half.
For those of you doing the math at home, that's -1 yard per carry. 6 and 6. So there you go, everybody. Just in case.
Nowhere to go it up. 0 is better.
That is very fair. Welsh, the next guy here, let's stick with the Bears. You're also involved in this game too, but this time it's with Justin Fields.
Yeah, so I'm looking for plus money. I mean, Erickson already kind of talked about that. The Cardinals stink, and they kind of stink like across the board. So it's like, where can you find these extra valuations? Obviously you're not getting like great juice on the Foreman or anything like that, but that's a really good low bet. Well, I found a really good juiced bet in Justin Fields passing touchdowns. It's at plus 145 for 2 touchdowns. Now, I know Fields isn't exuding multiple touchdowns every single week, but he has done this 4 times this season. And the Cardinals have given up 4+ passing touchdowns in 2 of their last 3 games, and quarterbacks have hit this in 3 of the last 4 games. Fields, this is why I like this a lot. Fields has thrown 30 or more passes in 3 of his last 4 games. On the year, the Cardinals have let 7 teams throw 30 or more pass attempts. 5 of those 7 have thrown for multiple touchdowns. The Cardinals secondary stinks. I love DJ Moore. I actually was going to put a focal point on DJ Moore's receiving yards and or receptions here. Justin Fields doesn't do this a ton, but if you're going to do it, you're going to do it against the Cardinals. And he's throwing the ball a decent amount. So as much as Foreman may hit this, I'm on the side that this team is going to be slinging it around, and Justin Fields is going to have 2 passing touchdowns, and we are going to get 1.5 on our money when it pays.
75% of the public are on the under for this game, Welsh. I already talked about this yesterday with Bogman on the show. On principle, I'm just going to the over. When the public is that heavy on something, I tend to go, well, that just can't be true.
What's the number?
I'll double check that for you on BP. But that being said, it's relatively workable, I would say. The number I'm looking for right now, but to the point of too, are you somebody like that also, that when you find a giant public number such as that you're also one to say that's usually a little fishy whenever you see that much? What I was waiting for is to get bet down a little bit, even more, because the under was so heavily coming in. It's 43.5. That's the number for this one.
Yeah. I mean, I would also say, like, to your point to it is, like, these teams, both their defense stink. Like, the Bears a little bit better.
Well, the Bears defense does not stink in the last few weeks. That's one thing.
No, the last few weeks.
The last 5 weeks, the last month and change, basically since the trade deadline. They acquired Sweat, they got Brisker healthy, and all of a sudden they started playing good defense again. I think that's been a huge difference. And then to the other point too, you talked about Arizona. When you go back and look at that tape, and I'm sure you did because you loved it.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with
open was every single 49er. It was crazy to see.
But also, the Arizona Cardinals were putting up some points. It's like, so, like, if you want to just we'll settle on the Bears being like a median defense in the league. Kyler Murray has made that offense a bit better. He's going to be flying around, and I think Justin Fields is absolutely going to torch the Cardinals. I would actually I haven't looked at it yet. I'd look at the Bears team total and potentially play that this week. But I think this is an incredible matchup for Bears all around. And if they are scoring at will, it's going to put the Cardinals into situation where Kyler Murray does move the ball, did it a bit against the 49ers, I think the over in that game is absolutely in play. But I am hyper focused on Fields, then DJ Moore, and then I'm open to listen across the board for the rest of the market in this game.
All right, let's get back to you, Erickson, here. We have talked about this on the Fantasy Pro show, on our prediction show, and it was my favorite one of the week, and it seems like you're in on it too. Let's talk about the one thing New England does well, which is stop the run.
Yep, number one defense versus the run, so I'm going to take the under on Javonte Williams, under 55.5 rushing yards. It'd be one thing if Javonte was getting all the volume in that backfield, but that's not the case. Like, he splits touches with Samaje Perine, Jaleel McLaughlin also gets touches, so look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, keep betting against running backs facing the Patriots, because that's the enjoyment I get now from watching them. I just root for the other running back to suck. Like, that's how I watch Patriots games now. So, look, the last 4 weeks, Patriots have allowed an average of just 43.5 rushing yards to all running backs that they have faced. So, again, I just don't think that Javonte Williams, who's gone under this mark in 3 of his last 5 games, like, this is an uphill battle for him. So, again, I want to get on this now, because I think when it opens closer, or when the line closes closer to game kickoff, it's going to be around 50 yards. Because I just don't see a scenario where, you want to smash the over on Javonte Williams. I don't see a scenario where I think that's a good bet. So, continue to pound the unders on running backs facing the Patriots.
Yeah, it's just been so clear when you look at the game log here that that's what the Patriots do well. And to the other side of this game too, I think the Denver Broncos had their little moment there where things were getting better, and then it all kind of came crashing down the last few weeks, which is unfortunate because it felt like maybe they were turning a corner, but maybe now not so much. So looking ahead to 2024, both of these organizations look ahead to our next game here on the slate too that we want to talk about. It's going back into the Chargers, believe it or not. And Welsh, it's a really good case here because, no Keenan Allen in this game, and that means maybe a little bit more Josh Palmer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love Easton Stick, but I love low number one wide receiver totals, and that's what you're getting with Josh Palmer this week at 38.5. Now it's the Bills. Okay, matchup doesn't grade out as the best on the planet, but 5 of the last 9 games, he's hit this marker, Josh Palmer. On his return this past week, obviously you guys know he went for 114 yards. Projections have got him around 5 catches and over 60 yards this week with Allen out. The Bills have given this number up to number one wide receivers every single game this season, except to the New York Jets. And that doesn't mean anything. It's a relegated NFL team at this point. Every single other game except, actually they did it in week 1. The Jets did do it in week 1. It was a couple weeks ago, but every other team has had the number one wide receiver hit this total all season long. So Josh Palmer at under 40 yards, I'm smash that. Actually, immediately took it before the market started moving. And if you look around, you get some better juice numbers. So make sure you're on Betting Pros on the website, and it'll show you all the different markets that you can get, whether the line or the juice. So go to bettingpros.com and make sure you're making the right bet.
Yeah. Also, when you're downloading the app, everybody, if you have iOS, don't forget, you get 3 free days of premium. This is the perfect weekend for that, to try that out and see what it's like, because you've got football Saturday, you've got football Sunday, you've got football Monday, you've got bowl games happening, got NBA stuff happening. Like, this is the weekend before the close of the year to try it out, and it's going to blow your mind. And when you realize how great it is, you're going to want to use it every single day in 2024. I use it every single day. I use it to make up the shows. I use it for my own wagers. It's just spectacular.
Like, listen, take the savings, go get your kids extra stuff so they're busy all Christmas Eve and Christmas weekend. Go get your wife something nice as well, your significant other, and then just make everybody leave you alone. And you can take all that savings into the premium, and you could just stare at games and make bets all weekend long. That sounds amazing. I'm going to go do it.
Like a man with multiple children, just like me.
I have multiple children. I've already got a plan.
Is this your itinerary? Well,
yeah.
Take notes, we already got it.
Take notes. A couple years. This is going to be you. All right. Let's go to you for another running back here. You've got another one on your docket here, Erickson. Who is it?
Yeah, going back to this Cardinals-Bears game, James Conner under 53.5 rushing yards. So I know Welsh knows that James Conner actually had a big game against the 49ers last week, but before the second half and he ripped off that 44-yard run, he had 27 yards on 10 carries. So really, it was that one big run that he had last week that really kind of put him over the top. And I'm going to bet against him doing that 2 weeks in a row, because the Bears have been one of the top defenses against the run, ranking top 5 in fewest yards per carry allowed this season. Other than the Lions running backs, basically, who I think are kind of in an echelon above every other running game, because the Lions can really run on almost any team. No running back has rushed for 60 yards versus the Bears since week 4. So just call me... I'm not a believer in James Conner going on the road to Chicago and just ripping off massive runs. But we've seen the Cardinals offense play significantly worse away from Arizona. So they have very different splits road home with their offense. So I think James Conner is going to struggle here, and he's still a committee. He played 49% of the snaps last week, splitting carries with Amari DiMercato and Michael Carter. So if the Bears offense is putting up points, Conner might not even be on the field. So I'm going to take the under here on 53.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And, Connor's been an enigma. I know we've talked about this before, too. I think a lot of people felt like in fantasy this year he was going to be a running back that, was kind of like, yeah, you'll be fine. And it just hasn't been good. This Arizona Cardinal team has been all over the place. You live out there in Arizona, Welsh. Do you think that they're going to move on potentially from Kyler Murray, or do you think they're just going to stay the course with him there?
The talk around here is that the marriage is solid. But, sometimes not everybody lets be known what the marriage is really like. Everybody is like, oh, hey, guess what? There were questions, but they're really happy. And Kyler Murray's happy and everybody likes this stuff. I think they do stick with it. I think finding a right opportunity to move on isn't going to present itself in a way that they're going to want to capitalize on. As in, I think they'll be more comfortable justifying bringing in more options around Kyler Murray because he hasn't been given that opportunity than it would be bringing in another quarterback with those same garbage options, Michael Wilson's and the Greg Dortches and the James Connors. So I think it is more likely that Fields would move than Kyler Murray if I had to make a bet this offseason.
Yeah, it's funny because, I think we just talked about this. I don't even remember. I did so many shows yesterday, Erickson. I think this was you and I, where I said, who would you rather have if you were an organization, Fields or Murray? And I think we both picked Fields. It's easier to move
Fields because they haven't paid him yet.
Right.
So it's easier to get rid of him versus Murray, who they've already paid.
But you'd rather have Fields like me. You think Fields has the better skill set overall, potentially.
Yeah, and I just think that just based on what he has to bring with him, like, there's no contract attached to him. Like, it's a little bit easier to finagle a way to, like, okay, if we're going to have Fields, then we can do X, Y, and Z. Whereas, okay, if we're committing to Kyler, okay, well, now we have to factor in his cap hit and all this other stuff that...
Yeah, this isn't baseball. Like, you're not going to move... Like, how often do you see these massive, massive contracts get moved? Or in basketball? I mean, it's every other
but it's
sport,
also a unique situation where there's so many teams that are desperate for quarterback play in the NFL, and so many quarterbacks that are starting to even still age out, where you're looking at the landscape and you saw what happened again this year, where there was just not good quarterback play. And the guys coming in, look, you got Caleb Williams, Bo Nix is in this mix. There's a couple other guys that we could talk about, but I don't know how much you want to talk about them.
You know what? I just would throw out one thing too. I think there's a potential that we are going to have this is like the Kyle Shanahan school of coaching, that we're smarter than everybody else. If you look around the NFL, there's this uptick in quarterback development as far as like the guys at the bottom. So like the Jake Brownings of the world are popping up and becoming relevant, and Brock Purdy's are coming up. That I think you might have. It's similar to like the running back situation. You might have teams overall that look and say, hey, we're better invested in just finding team-suited quarterbacks than trying to dive into these franchise high
you can find system QBs.
If that makes sense how I'm saying
it does. And look, you can find the guy that fits your system. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but those two teams you mentioned, when you're dropping a guy in there that's got Chase and Mixon and T. Higgins, it's a lot easier than when you're dropping a guy into an offense that doesn't have pieces like that. The fascinating place to me is Atlanta still. If Atlanta can figure out the quarterback situation and get a coach who has half a brain.
Coach situation
how would Mac Jones do in Atlanta? I think it'd be pretty
decent.
Good.
I think it would be pretty decent, but I'd love to see how Justin Fields would do instead. That's the guy that I want to go there.
I don't want anyone that has a particular skill set to be put with Arthur Smith in any way, shape,
well,
or
yeah, I mean, like
the caveat meaning that Arthur Smith
you need a cookie cutter guy to be in this offense. Like that's what Arthur Smith wants.
Well,
so
Mac Jones is made of sugar cookies. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. That's why it's perfect.
Before we get to the anytime touchdown calls, both the guys have Lamar Jackson props this week. So Welsh, we'll start with yours.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I always working when I come on this show to hit an under. I actually want to track because I don't bet enough unders for under Erickson, and in honor of him, I just feel motivated to do it. But my track record on unders, but I feel like my track record has been decent, so I'm just motivated to go and look for them. And I found one that I really like this week. So you mentioned Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson under rushing yards. 59.5 is what I found. 49ers have not given up this number to a quarterback all year long. Now, they have also faced, just want to point out, like guys like Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. Warner's going to spy, and Lamar projections are under 50 right now. So the 49ers have not given up this once all season long. And I think this is going to be a hard fought game that I just don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be able to get out enough out on the corners. And you've got the best cover linebacker in the league in Fred Warner, who, like I said, I think he will be locked into that spot and they're going to be spying him. So I'm going to go with the 49ers defensive track record, even though they gave up more rushing yards to running backs recently, that I think they haven't done this once, and I don't think it's going to happen in this situation. So give me under rushing yards on a very aggressive prop. And I believe Lamar has hit this like 4 or 5 games this season. This is not the defense where I think it's happening.
Yeah, and Lamar's taken 34 sacks this year. That's a fair amount. Like, that's the bottom third of the league, or top third, depending on how you're looking. And I mean, Sam Howell's taken the most at 59, but he's taken 34. So it's one of those things, too. You can't hold the ball too long with this defensive line that's going to come after you here. And look, I've been saying this behind your back all week, Welsh, so I'm going to say it to your face. The 49ers are the class of the NFL. The class of the NFL. Ooh. No one's even close. Forget the NFC, forget the AFC. I think they're going to win this game by double digits. We'll see.
Oh, I mean, what a Christmas present for me on Christmas night.
I know.
Christmas night.
So either we're friends, or I've totally jinxed it. You're going to blame me. I'm going to get miserable texts from Welsh. Yeah, don't be all right. Please. You've got Lamar props as well, Erickson. So let's talk about which one you're into.
Yeah, full disclosure, I went total Grinch on this one because I stole it from the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet. Totally stole it. Did not come up with this on my own. I just looked at the prop bets and I was like, oh, this one looks good. Like plus 33%. It's actually the number 1 plus EV player prop in the cheat sheet this week for week 16. So it's Lamar Jackson over 19.5 completions. You can actually get it at plus money on DraftKings. And it's because the 49ers have allowed the second most completions this season quarterbacks. Like, they're more than happy to give up pass completions, and teams are always trailing because they have to throw on the 49ers. So Lamar Jackson, 11th in the NFL in completion rate this season. Lamar's averaging 19 completions per game. So against an average opponent, he would be right around this number, but he's not facing an average opponent. He's facing an above average opponent in terms of giving up completions to opposing quarterbacks. The last 3 QBs the 49ers have faced have all completed 22 or more passes. So I think that in a negative game script, based on the spread, Lamar's going to be chucking the ball a little bit more. And I think he's going to have more than 19.5 completions. So especially at plus money, I'm going all in with the prop bet cheat sheet, and I'm going Lamar Jackson over.
Use the tools. Use the tools, everybody. All right, let's get to the anytime touchdowns. By the way, Welsh, I did find it. It took me forever to find it, but Bears team total 23.5. You want to go over or under that one? I think over.
Over.
That's an easy over. It's way too low.
Over. Yeah, lock
we
it
could add
in.
this
We're
to
going
our
over.
favorite bets of the week as well.
Yep. Bears -4. Bears team total.
Oh, what's the Bears first half? I'll bet you if it's 24, it's probably 13.5, 12.5. I'm taking it.
Clark Griswold will be proud that we're betting the Bears.
Bears. By the way, Erickson does not know what Dub Bears is. We found that out in the live stream yesterday too. He had not seen the sketch.
Really?
Now, did you go and search it on?
I'm a busy man.
You're a busy man. You have 5 minutes to go watch the SNL. I'll send it to you right after.
By the way,
show.
do you guys want to see the greatest thing ever, real quick?
I
Speaking of Clark Griswold, I'm going to show you. This is the greatest thing
I have the same thing. I have the same jersey.
But wait, look.
It's autographed. Mine isn't autographed. Mine isn't autographed,
by
but that's pretty
Clark
good.
Griswold.
By Chevy Chase. Exactly right. Shout out to our boy Dennis Sidler, who has helped out. And look at this on the front.
That's fun. Mine's the Blackhawks on the front, but that's kind of fun right there. You got
the fantastic Clark Griswold. Best Christmas movie
ever.
I
don't have any beers gear. No beers gear.
No Bears gear. No Bears. All right, let's get to the anytime touchdowns. You got a spicy one here, Welsh. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm getting wacky here.
I was like, what? When I saw the show sheet, I'm like, what?
I did a double take as well.
Mine's mega chalk, so let's get spicy.
Did you just call yours chalk?
Honestly, both of yours are ridiculous.
Mine
so I don't even want to talk to either of you.
Yours is ridiculous.
You're both ridiculous.
Erickson is doing the thing that everybody's doing this week. This is ridiculous. Mine is also ridiculous, so I shouldn't be. But I'm going plus 600, 6-1, Tanner Hudson touchdown. He has had 4 receptions in 5 of his last 6 games. But guess what? The Steelers are giving up the most touchdowns to tight ends over the last month with 5. We've had a touchdown in 4 straight games given up, and the Bengals were a part of it. Drew Sample actually got the touchdown, but he's not as involved. I have a decent shot at a touchdown here against the team that is worst against tight ends and does nothing but give up touchdowns. And no Jamar Chase. Tanner Hudson in the red zone. Touchdown, 6-1 on the money. I like it better than yours, Erickson. Yours is ridiculous.
Yours, but honestly, they're both a little wackadoo. This one's even more so.
No,
Go ahead, Erickson. Go for it. Let's hear it.
Boston Scott, anytime touchdown. Scott has 10 touchdowns in 8 career games against the Giants. He's famously coined the name the Giant Killer. And it's the season. Tis the season for Boston Scott to score touchdowns. So Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
And what's the number for this, by the way?
So I got a plus 500. It's around plus 350 now. He has not scored yet this year. So
it's only plus 350. That's it.
Wait, can you repeat that again? How many times has he scored this year?
He has 0 touchdowns this year, which means he's due.
How many carries does he have this year?
I think it's like 17 carries. Like it's a very low number. But okay, so if you want to actually get the most payout for it, I think the bet would actually do the last touchdown, because you say, okay, Eagles are killing the Giants. Nick Sirianni knows about this Boston Scott thing against the Giants. So, they're killing them in the 4th quarter. Let's get Boston Scott in the game.
That's on Nick Sirianni's mind.
Touchdown.
I think what's on his mind is, holy crap, man, we're getting our butt kicked the last couple of weeks. We got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. And he's going to have the Giant Killer lead them to a victory.
We are going to do the thing that we have been doing. We are going to parlay Tanner Hudson and
Hudson's going to score, and then Boston Scott's going to bomb.
I can't believe the Hudson number is greater than the Boston Scott number, to be honest with you.
And Scott, 29-1 anytime touchdown parlay. Merry Christmas.
If you've had way too much eggnog, everybody. All right, so those are the anytime touchdown scorers, or so they say. I can't wait. Honestly, I hope at least one, if not both, hit it, because that's going to be a hilarious weekend for us. Going through Welsh's: Joe Mixon receiving yards over 18.5, Rashee Rice receiving yards over 64.5, Justin Fields passing TDs 1.5 over plus 145. Too great number on that. Josh Palmer receiving yards over 38.5. Then we got Lamar Jackson rushing yards under 59.5. And then for Erickson, James Cook over 23.5 receiving yards. Foreman over 37.5 rushing yards. Javonte Williams under 55.5 rushing yards. James Conner under 53.5 rushing yards. And Lamar Jackson over 19.5 completions. As we said, use the prop bet cheat sheet every single time you're looking to make props, because it is literally handing you the answers to the test. That's what we're trying to do here. Download the Betting Pros app, subscribe to the channel, do all those things, and have a Merry Merry Christmas here as well. She's on the YouTube channel holding up his Clark Griswold jersey. That's a great. I got the Griswold Blackhawks one, the authentic, but this is a nice variation on that. I gotta say, we want everybody to have a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful Christmas. I hope everyone had a nice Hanukkah, have a great New Year, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Have fun. have some wagers in there too. Makes the holidays a little bit more fun. You can enjoy yourself. There's so much football around Christmas. Seems like
Nothing
the perfect
like a
marriage
sweat
of things.
with Grammy.
There you go.
Game. Nothing
There
like
you
a
go.
sweat.
Totally not going to ruin Christmas too.
No, it's not going to ruin
Don't worry
Christmas
about it
at all. It's going to be great. But seriously, thank you everybody for watching all season. And don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here through week 17, 18 through the playoffs, still talking all the NFL we could possibly manage to do, plus the NBA, plus everything else that you can wager on. If it moves, we're going to try to bet on it here. Thanks for joining us. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh and the Undertaker, Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Happy holidays. Here we go.